Today I'm going to be sharing how you can start crypto airdrop farming with absolutely no money up front. Now some people probably think this is too good to be true, and I understand why, but in today's video I will also explain why this isn't the case and that it is the real deal. Now if you do enjoy the video, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel, but let's get started on this airdrop farming journey. So for the beginners out there who may not necessarily know what airdrop farming is, I'll do a very quick overview. So in crypto, some projects will launch a token. When that token is launched, the team may decide to put some tokens aside for an airdrop. Now an airdrop essentially rewards the early users, the early community members for their support or participation. So a couple of examples of this could be that if a crypto exchange launches but they haven't launched their token yet, they may eventually airdrop tokens to people who supported them in these early stages and actually use their exchange. So that is just basically rewarding these loyal users. Another example could be that before a project or a product launches, such as a crypto or Web3 game, they may go into a testing phase to make sure there are no bugs and the game runs smoothly. And if you are part of that community and are actively testing that game, reporting bugs, they may airdrop you some tokens when that token goes live to thank you for your help in them early stages. Now, you may think this is too good to be true, money, for free, but essentially you're giving your time there and your loyalty, and that is what you are being rewarded for, because if they don't test with the community, they're probably going to give that money or them tokens to some freelancers or a testing agency, so why not give it to the community instead? So this is why I believe that airdrops are not necessarily free money, because if you are not giving your cash or staking, then you are probably giving your time, and that is worth something. So now we move on to the part where we discuss how we're going to get started with absolutely no money. And to break things down, we're going to look at mainnet versus testnet. Now, a mainnet is essentially when a product is already live. So for example, when we talk about exchanges, people will be using the mainnet version, which is actual real money. You are trading, you are swapping, and you can make real money or even lose real money. It's out there in the open. But before products get to mainnet, they will start in a testnet where the developers can essentially test and ensure that everything is working as expected before they move to the real world. So this is where testing in a testnet environment with fake money becomes appealing to people with no capital to start, because they can get involved in these communities, they can test, they can provide feedback, report bugs, and they will be essentially rewarded for that. Now, this is where it comes back to, it being too good to be true, because you've got no capital and you're being rewarded with real money. But essentially you are giving your time there, you are committing your time to test, to report bugs for this team, and they will reward you with tokens. And that's enough for you then to get started. But now we need to find out exactly where these testnet opportunities are. Now we're going to have a look at a few different examples of some testnets that you can get involved in right away. And we're going to use this thread on X here from Joshy Smart. And if you're not already following him, go and do so. Plenty of airdrop alpha on a very consistent basis. I highly recommend dropping him a follow. But there are a few here that he recommends to go and do, and you can see that a few of them are labeled as testnets. So we're going to focus on them. So the first on the list is Entangle. Now, essentially, when we're looking at this one, and bear in mind there is a guide here for every single testnet, so you can follow it step by step, and Joshy makes it very easy to do. So when you're testing on Entangle, you're going to get some testnet tokens, you're going to add Entangle network to your wallet. Now, even if you don't necessarily completely understand what all of this stuff means, just follow the steps. And as you do things, you'll pick stuff up along the way. It's like learning to drive. You can read about it all you want, but until you step in a car, you never really truly understand how it is to drive. And that's the exact same thing here. Sometimes it's best to watch a couple of videos, read a couple of articles, but just dive in, get stuck in and figure it out. So once you've got your testnet tokens, you're going to basically follow all of these steps and you're going to stake the NGL. And when you've gone through that process, you know, you don't have to report any feedback on this one. I'm sure the team are internally tracking how successful things have been, looking at people, reporting back to them in Discord and Twitter if something doesn't necessarily work. So as long as you're doing your bit here, connecting your wallet and giving it a good try, that is all you have to do for this one. Then if we go back, we'll look at the next on the list, which is Fuel Network. And if we scroll down, we've got it here. And again, it's very, very simple. You're going to install the wallet, you're going to get some fake tokens, and then from that point, you're going to bridge, you're going to register for a domain, you're going to mint an NFT. Again, if you don't understand what this means, it doesn't matter because all you have to do is follow the guide that is here from Joshi. And then lastly is Bearer Chain, which is one that is quite big at the moment. They're seeing a lot of hype and noise around Bearer Chain. And again, a very simple process of installing the network to your MetaMask and then basically just performing different tasks across different dApps within the Bearer Chain ecosystem. Again, I don't need to go through everything in much detail here because the guide is all here. You follow this very closely. You shouldn't have any issues. If you do, maybe that's the exact thing that the team are looking for, to jump into the Discord and just let them know that something isn't working. But I will leave this article in the description so you can go and follow that closely. Now, these are just a few examples of testnets that are currently going on right now, but new opportunities are always appearing. And the best way to keep on top of these is by following people like myself, like Joshi, on X or Twitter, because we are able to provide these opportunities in real time so you guys are well aware of them. And another thing to keep in mind here is that not all airdrops, all testnet airdrops are confirmed. And what I mean by this, sometimes they are speculative, sometimes they are a gamble. Projects will play things differently depending on what their strategy is. Some of them will basically come out straight away and say the top 5,000 users during this testnet phase are the ones getting the rewards. Some of them will just hint at an airdrop on social media. Some of them won't even mention it, but you're that early to the project that it's worth the gamble. It really depends on the situation, what you think of the project and so on. So I just want to make it clear that it's not to get frustrated at, that if a project doesn't give you an airdrop, that is completely normal, it is to be expected, and we have to take that on board. Now, let's say for an example, we take on 10 different testnets, let's say 5 of them work out, and we may be left with, you know, $100 from this one, $200 from this one, maybe $50 from another, and so on. But the idea here is that we started on zero and we're starting to build some foundations, we've got off the ground, and we've got some money to work with. Now, this isn't, of course, the $10,000 goal that we've got here, but there are 2 options now of how we progress to the next stage. So we've got some tokens, and option 1 is going to be that we just simply hold on to the tokens that we've received. Now, I'll leave a link in the description to a thread that I talked about in the last video around Uniswap and their airdrop and how that worked out for holders. But essentially the idea here is that we are still, in my opinion, quite early in this bull cycle, and across the board most tokens are going to go up in value, so holding them definitely isn't the worst idea, and it's also low maintenance because you've done your bit, you've got the airdrop tokens, and now you just sit back and see what happens. But if you want to be more active and get involved a bit more and really go down the airdrop rabbit hole, there is option 2, which is when we actually start to sell either all or some tokens, and then we move that into other areas and different styles of airdrops. So this is when we get more involved in the mainnet stage that we mentioned earlier, and typically around staking. Now again, I'll leave a link in the description to some staking airdrops that I have done in the past. And basically what this means is that you are going to stake your tokens, they're going to be locked up, and you will potentially receive airdrops from other new tokens that are using their services or protocols. So a recent example of this is that I staked some Pyth. Now Pyth is a Chainlink competitor, and other projects that are using Pyth's technologies may airdrop to Pyth holders, and this was the case because I was confirmed to receive some points of a project called ZeroLend. and Zero Lend are basically using Pyth as their oracle of choice, and that is why I received that airdrop. Now, I do just have points at the moment. I don't know exactly what they will be worth, but things are already looking promising considering I only staked Pyth a few weeks ago. And this is just one example, because you can also stake the likes of Injective, Celestia, Manta, and all these new L1s and L2s that are appearing in the space. So they're just examples just to paint a picture of how effective staking can be. Of course, you need capital for that, but it is very passive, because once you've staked, you just sit back and keep an eye on what airdrops you are then eligible for. Now, there is no right or wrong to how you want to take your journey from 0 to 10,000. Like I said, there's different options there, but testnet is essentially how you're going to get started. From that point, you've got different options. You may decide to do a bit of both, hold some, stake some, but it really just depends on your risk tolerance and how involved you want to get. Now, there's one thing for sure here, is that you want to continue doing as many testnets as possible in the future. Once you've done the first few, you don't just stop there, because that is the way to keep bringing in that capital to raise the portfolio size, and then from there you can then stake more and just continue to compound. Now, of course, your target here might not be to reach $10,000. That's absolutely fine. You may take out the money from the testnets to spend in the real world. There's absolutely no problem with that, but the purpose for today's video was to discuss how you can build up that portfolio as we are continuing to run into the hype of a big bull run, in my opinion. So that's why, for me, I think if you don't need the capital immediately, it is a good idea to basically build that portfolio and position yourself the best that you can going into the end of this year and into 2025. But if you did enjoy the video, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel, comment and let me know what you may be airdrop farming or staking. But please do trade safe, invest safe, airdrop safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.